Hi everybody, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Check this out. The amaryllis bulbs have started their show of blooms and oh my gosh, they're just gorgeous. This one is red pearl and I'm really swooning over that one. So this is my fourth seed starting video. And my goal has been to give you the information that you need so that you can successfully and confidently start your own plants from seed. This is such an important skill to have. It gives you the ability to grow a lot of varieties that you can't find at garden centers and in nurseries. And also, it is a great way to save money because it's very economical. Now, I have a lot to cover today. I want to give you another update on the lettuce seedlings that I started in the first video because I want to share a little bit more information with you. I'm going to talk about seeds that maybe need a little special care when planting them. Maybe they need a little bit of extra heat, or maybe they need to be planted in darkness. And I've got a couple of seeds I need to start today that have either or both of those requirements. Then I'm going to make some soil blocks with my soil blocker. That will be cool. And last but not least, I want to talk about the importance of hardening off any seedlings you start indoors before you transplant them out into your garden. So let's get busy. You can see the lettuce seedlings are continuing to do well. I've been fertilizing them with some half-strength fish fertilizer about every 2 weeks, and the grow lights that they're under run about 15 hours a day. I was going to take you out to the garden so you could see what my setup will be for planting these out early, but everything is covered by snow again, so hopefully next week. Now just today I had someone ask me, how often do you water your seedlings? And so I wanted to clarify that for just a moment. Now, as I explained in my first video, you plant the seeds and you put a humidity dome on, or a clear plastic bag, something that increases the humidity underneath, and that is to help the seeds germinate. Once the majority of the seeds have germinated, you're removing that humidity dome, and then you want to keep an eye on the moisture in the soil, because once that dome or bag are gone, then the soil will dry out more quickly. The goal is to keep the soil very lightly moist. You don't want it sopping wet, that's not good, and you don't want it bone dry. And certainly you should keep an eye on what the leaves look like. If you see any little bit of wilting, that means they don't have enough water. Now, for this batch of lettuce, I started them in a seed starting kit that's called the Grow Ease Seed Starter, and that is from Gardener's Supply. I don't have an affiliation with them, but it's a really great product. And the way it works is that underneath this part of the flat where the seedlings are growing, there is another layer, and it's got a capillary mat in. This is kind of a felt-like material that is really great at absorbing water. So the bottom part of this system is a water reservoir. The capillary mat is hanging down into it and then wicking up the water right underneath where the roots are, and so it's watering the plants from the bottom, which is a really nice way to water seedlings. So that's what I'm using, and the reservoir takes quite a while to run out, but I do keep a close eye on it because I don't want to risk these guys getting dry and just be going along day after day thinking everything is fine. So that is how I water my seedlings. In some cases, in other cases, I'm not using something that has a reservoir with water. But my advice is to keep a close eye on the soil moisture as soon as that humidity dome or clear plastic bag comes off, and just make sure that it's not drying out. Now I know you're still looking at that amaryllis, right? Now most seeds don't have any special requirements. You just plant them the way I showed in the first video, and that's that. But every now and then you'll come across something that needs a little something different, and so I wanted to cover that next. seed packets come with a lot of helpful information about how to get them started in life. And this is an example here. This is a type of salpiglossis, also known as painted tongue, that is a gorgeous annual. And I thought I'd like to grow maybe a couple dozen of them to poke in here and there in my flower beds. And this one is a little unusual. So let me show you the back of the seed packet and I'll explain what I'm talking about. Now let me zoom in real quick. So if you look right here, notice how it says special germination instructions. Darkness aids germination. Press the seeds into the soil surface and cover with something opaque to completely exclude light. When the seedlings emerge, remove the cover. I'm going to plant them today, but I wanted to show you how I accomplished that with another type of seed that needs darkness. I received some seeds from All America Selections, which is a judging board that rates new seed introductions based on certain attributes. 2 of the seed packets they sent have special needs. This is Verbena bonariensis vanity. I've always seen Verbena bonariensis flowers on British gardening programs, and I just think they're so beautiful, so I decided to give them a try. The seed packet says they need both darkness and warm conditions in order to germinate. The information I found says these flower seeds can take 2 to 4 weeks to germinate. That is a long time. And they need temperatures between 60 to 80 degrees to sprout as well. I figured this is a good experience for me and also something good to demonstrate to you. Now here is my high-tech method of blocking the light. As a matter of fact, this light fixture is right next to our sliding glass door, so it needs a little help getting it dark in there. So I just took an old box and I cut the flaps off of it, and then I have the seedling flat in here with a little humidity dome. And these ones actually also required extra heat. So I want to cover both of these concepts real quick. I've never grown Verbena bonariensis before, but I think the flowers are really pretty and I like to grow new things. I also like to learn new things as a gardener. So here's what I did. I just wanted to start about 12 of them, and so I used 2 little pony packs, filled them with seed starting mix or germination mix. I planted the seeds, and the packet said just barely cover them, so that's what I did. And then I put on this small humidity dome. So here is the whole system. And I set it on top of the seedling heat mat. Now I talked about them in my first seed starting video, so you might want to refer back. And then I just plugged it in, and I'm running it 24/7. I'm certainly hoping the seeds germinate in 2 weeks and not 4 weeks, but that is really all you do. You leave that seed starting flat on top of the heat mat until the seeds have germinated, and then you can turn it off and use it for other things. Now, I almost never have to use a heat mat, but you can use it for certain types of vegetables that benefit from a little heat and they germinate faster, so that would be things like peppers, eggplants, and tomatoes. But for the most part, I usually don't have to use the seedling heat mat. And of course, then my high-tech cover goes on top, and that keeps them in the dark. I also want to start some coleus seeds that All America Selections sent to me. The variety is Sun Coral Candy, and this is what it looks like. I've never grown coleus plants from seed either, so it's another great opportunity for me to learn something. The information on these seeds is that they need heat in order to germinate, and that the seeds should not be covered with soil. So you can see there are all sorts of different requirements some seeds have in order for you to get a good germination rate. But thank heavens this is more the exception to the rule rather than the norm. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the painted tongue or salpiglossis seeds require darkness in order to germinate. but they don't need heat. So they are not going on the seedling heat mat. They're just going to go in a flat under normal light and without any extra heat. I also want to plant broccoli seeds, and I'm going to use my soil blocker tool to make little blocks of soil rather than using pots. I did this last year and it works great. So let me show you how you use it. The first step is to take some of your seed starting mix or germination mix and add in enough water so that it really holds together. You don't want it dripping wet, but you want that soil blocker to easily compress the soil into a block. So I think I've got plenty of water in here. So I've got the blocker in here, and I'm going to push it down into this seed starting mix quite firmly, just to make sure the soil is pushed in there. The next thing I'm going to do is to push it down to really make those blocks. I'm putting quite a lot of pressure on there. That's because I really want these to have plenty of soil. There's a little extra on here. There we go. Now's the moment of truth. So I'm going to put the first row in here. And when you're pushing the blocks out, what I like to do first is to push down and make sure the bottom is making good contact with this little seedling flat. And then as I lift up, I'm going to be pushing this handle down to push the soil out. So let's see what happens. Ta-da! That's not bad for the first time in a year. And notice how there are little holes in here. I don't know if you can see them, but that's where the seeds are going to go in. So that is pretty slick. Now I want to start 12 broccoli plants. I've got brand new seeds. The variety is Bell Star, which was highly recommended to me by a friend. And so I'm going to do 3 rows of the 4 blocks. There's row 2. And row 3. Now don't get discouraged if you use a soil blocker for the first time and your blocks don't come out all nice and firm like this and they fall apart. You can just remove that soil and do it again. Now it's time to plant the seeds. These are actually pelleted seeds, so they have a little coating on them. And the information I found says to plant broccoli seeds between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 an inch deep. And now I'm just going to put a little bit of soil on top of each of those little divots. I figure that's easier than squeezing together my soil block, which might sort of undermine it, so this will work better. Then I want to sprinkle a very light layer of milled sphagnum moss onto the top. Now I talked about this in my first video, and sphagnum moss has a natural compound that inhibits the development of certain types of fungus, such as the ones that cause damping off disease, which will kill seedlings very quickly. So I always put a little layer of this on top before I put the plastic lid on. I'm also going to label this flat with the variety and type of vegetable so I remember what's in here. Now this is the product that I use, but I did find out a couple weeks back that even though Maser Lee still makes the product, they have given it a new name, and it's called Succeed Seed Starter. So I just wanted to let you know. You can find it on Amazon, and you can find it on maserlee.com. It is very inexpensive. You can see how little I had to use, so it's not a big investment, but I feel like it's a nice little bit of added protection to keep those seedlings healthy. Okay, the last topic for today is the importance of hardening off any seedlings that you have started indoors. And that's because whether you grew them under grow lights indoors or inside on a sunny windowsill, the light that they've been getting is nowhere near as intense as direct sunlight outdoors. If you don't put your seedlings through this step, the leaves will become sunburned. You'll notice dry white patches on the leaves, which is a plant's version of sunburn. This damage can set back a seedling, although if it's severe enough, it can actually kill them because it interferes with the leaves' ability to conduct photosynthesis. Here's how hardening off works. Over the course of 7 to 10 days, you're going to be moving them outdoors for a bit, then bringing them back inside, and slowly moving them from filtered light to direct sunlight. So here are the specifics. Day 1, you're putting them outside in filtered light for an hour, then moving them back inside. Day 2, put them outside for 2 hours in filtered light, then move them back inside. On day 3, they get to be outside for 3 hours, and so on for the next week or so. From day 3 on, you'll want to move them slowly but surely into more sunlight. By the end of the hardening off period, the seedlings will be ready for planting in your garden. I do want to stress, however, that you want to make sure you're planting them outside at the right time. For example, plant tomato seedlings a week or 2 after the danger of frost has passed in your area. Okay, that's everything I wanted to cover today. I do hope you're finding this series of seed starting videos helpful. And if you know other gardeners who are interested in seed starting, please point them to my YouTube channel, which is Susan's in the Garden. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching today, everybody. I'll see you next week.